So we're going to create a three-dimensional model of the butt joint here. Now we're going to go off of the dimensions that are outlined on the website. All right, so we have the 8 inches long by 2 and 5/8 inches tall by 3/4 inches thick. Okay, we're going to use those two pieces to create this joint here. So here's what we're going to draw. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new part studio. So I already created that. Now we're going to draw a quick sketch. We can do this a few different ways, um, but this is just one way of doing it. So I'm going to click sketch, choose the front plane. Now I could go line by line, but I'm going to just click corner rectangle and draw this from the center origin. So I'm going to click and drag, and I can dimension now or later. So I'm going to dimension now. So when I click once, you'll see this is open. I don't have to click anything in this dimension. The fact that it's white and has the numbers inside of it means that I can now type in a number, and it will allow me to put in 8, and then I could put in 2 and 5/8. Now, I can put fractions in here, but I know that 5/8 is 0.625 as a fraction, so I can just put 2.625, enter, and there is my side profile of one of the pieces of wood. Now I'm going to hit escape. And now if I want, I can just click and drag and move these numbers out of the way, these dimension numbers out of the way. I'm going to title this sketch as piece 1, green check mark. Now I'm going to rotate. It's still just a two-dimensional piece. So what I need to do is get rid of, I have an extra piece up here. I'm just going to get rid of this. So what we need to do is extrude this. So we're going to click the extrude command or shift E and extrude this 3/4 of an inch. So I can type in here where it says depth 0.75, or I could type in 3/4 of an inch. Okay, this is a new part. I'm going to title this extrusion piece 1, green check mark. So now we have one block of wood. So we have, if I'm looking back to my original model, we have this piece here, part 1. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to draw this connector. We're going to draw this as it is assembled. So I can do this a few different ways. I'm going to come over to this, I'm going to rotate it around. So I'm looking at this side, the right side, but I'm going to start my drawing on the face of the end here. So I click this face, and click sketch. Now I'm going to click the right side on the view cube or N on the keyboard, but orients my view a little differently. And now what I'm going to do is draw that same rectangle, corner rectangle, and I'm going to draw it from either the bottom or the top corner of this piece. So I'm going to click drag, and I already lined it up with this, so it's already 2.65 height, and I'm going to define the length as 8 inches. Now we have this sketch, as you can see here, still 2D. I'm going to name this sketch as piece 2. Now I need to extrude it just like I did before. I'm going to extrude this. Click the extrude command, click the face I want to extrude, and make sure I'm extruding in the right direction, right? I want this to butt up against this piece. So I want to reverse the direction and change the depth to 0.75. This is a new part, and I'm going to title this extrusion piece 2. Oops. Make sure you don't click add. Make sure you click new when you create the extrusion. It's a new part. And we now have our part 1 and our part 2. And we have created the butt joint. So almost there. What we need to do now is we have these 2 holes here. So we have to do a little bit of kind of dimensioning out, but this is pretty straightforward. So if you look at your part drawings, so we can line up the both holes. So we have a hole that is 3/8 inch from the end and is 9/16 from the top. So what we can do is we're going to go create a sketch on this face here. So I click this face, click the front view cube or N on my keyboard so I'm looking directly on it, and we're going to create a new sketch. Okay. From here, we're going to create a circle, and the diameter of that circle isn't important right now. Just on this face, draw one circle. And what we're going to do is, if we look at our piece, the dimension of this, did I give us a dimension? It doesn't look like I did. Let's give it the dimension. So we will give this hole the dimension. I just changed it. We will give it the dimension. So I click the dimension tool, click the circle itself, the outside, and we'll give this a dimension of 3/8. So 3/8 is a dimension. Now, if we look at the project plans itself, we can see that it is 9/16 from the top. So we'll, from the top of the piece down to the center of the circle. So we go back to the piece here, click the dimension tool, click the top line, click the center of the circle, and type in 3/8. So just check that. Sorry, I reversed that. It's 3/8 from the side. This is going to be 9/16. Here we go. On the top there, it's going to be dimension from this end to here. That's going to be 3/8. We have a lot of kind of numbers here. So it's 9/16 from the top to the center and 3/8 or 0.375 from the side to the center circle. Now I could draw the next circle using the mirror tool, but it's good practice, so we'll draw the same thing. So I'm going to take the circle tool again. Now if I hover over this last circle, don't click anything, just hover over it. I can stay in line with that on that plane. And I'm going to click drag, dimension this at 3/8 of an inch. The circle itself is 3/8 of an inch. Now I'm going to dimension the distance, right, from this center to here is 0.375. And the distance from the circle to the edge is going to be 9/16. And I will change this sketch name to countersink. And click the green check mark. So we have our sketches there. We still have to extrude these. All right, so if we go back to our drawings, the depth of that extrusion is 1/8 of an inch. All right, so we'll go take a look. So let's click the extrude tool. Now we're going to click both those circles, and we're going to change it from add to remove over in the command box. And again, looking at our drawings, we want this to be 1/8 of an inch down. So we're drilling out this piece here. So in the depth, I'm going to type in 1/8. Change this extrusion. I'm going to type in countersink. Okay. So we now have our countersink extruded, our butt joint. We have to now just add the pilot holes. So if we look back at our drawing, we have our pilot holes, right? Those are the longer holes that we pre-drill through one piece into the other for the screws to. It has a pilot to kind of guide the screw so it doesn't split the wood that we're drilling into. So this is 1.25 inches deep from the top, and it's inch 1/16 of an inch thick. So I'm going to go back to the model. And this is in the center, so I can go back here. I can create a new sketch, but what I typically do is you can create a sketch on this plane, or I can create, if I go to my countersink sketch here, I can use this sketch here. So what I'm going to do is double click the countersink sketch, draw 2 near circles. So I'm going to draw one circle here, that's 1/16 thick. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom, 1/16 inches thick. Great. Now, accept that, and you'll notice it won't be extruded, so this will be sticking up. So what I'm going to do now is click the extrude command, click the top of those small circles we just drew, reverse the direction. We're not adding, we're going to remove. We're going to remove the depth is going to be 1.25 inches, 1.25. You can write these as fractions, right? And it should allow you to. In the merge scope, so this box here where my cursor is blinking, that's asking you what are you going to remove from. You are going to click that box, it'll be blue, and you're going to select part 1 and part 2 because you're removing material from both of those. I'm going to change this extrusion and call this pilot hole and the green check mark. So now, if you look at this, we have our part 1, part 2, and we have our countersink with the 2 pilot holes. So I created the joinery here. That is a modeled butt joint. So your drawing should have your parts labeled with part 1, 2. You should have all of your sketches and extrusion. You should have piece 1, sketch and extrusion, piece 2, sketch and extrusion, countersink, sketch and extrusion, and your pilot holes will either just be an extrusion or they will have their own sketch depending on how you modeled it. All right, I'll create another video about how to create a drawing for this.